So in this video, I want to talk about how to choose the kind of goals that you're actually gonna stick to, the kind of goals that you'll follow through on. So I'm sectioning this video up into 3 parts because this is the kind of stuff that I love. I have a lot to share. So part 1 is very much how to think of what you want to work on, because sometimes you just draw a blank and you're like, what goals should I set? And that's when you end up trolling the New Year's resolution lists, the kind of videos that I've made in the past, and just picking one and being like, yeah, I'll do that. And it never really works out well. So the next part is all about picking the right goal for you. So not the right goal for you in 5 years time, not the right goal for like your friend, but the goal that you really should be working on right now. And the last part will be all about sticking to your goal. So how to make sure that you actually follow through on that goal, things that you can do and change in your life to make sure that you follow through. So let's talk about brainstorming your goals. I think the thing with goals is so often you come at it and you already have an idea of what you want to work on. Not always the case, but a lot of the time. But you don't take the time to potentially explore way better options. Don't just go at it with like, this is what I want to do. Sit down and take the time to brainstorm, because you might find that there is a better way to get to your actual end goal or to achieve your life vision than the one path that you have sitting in your head. So if you want to get started brainstorming, grab out your journal, and I have a few journal prompts for you to consider. Firstly, it's a classic, what would I do if I had all of the money and time in the world? Most of the limitations you're gonna have when you go to set a goal is like, oh, but I don't have the time to do that. Oh, but I don't have the money to do that. So another alternative to this question, if that doesn't really vibe with you, Marie Forleo suggested the prompt, wouldn't it be cool if? So wouldn't it be cool if I became a skydiving instructor? Wouldn't it be cool if I owned an Airbnb? A super similar idea generating prompt that helps you to remove those limitations of time and money. And sometimes the ideas that you generate are gonna be like absolutely not a thing that you could do. But sometimes when you think about them further, you'll be like, actually, you know, if I did this and changed this about my life, perhaps that could be something that I could pursue. The next journal prompt to consider is, what am I struggling with? What problems am I facing? More often than not, you're going to have problems in your life. They could be internal problems, they could be external problems. Some of what will come out will be like life admin projects that you should probably work on at some point, but you might find that there are some goals hidden in there. The next activity that you might want to consider doing is doing a little Instagram feed analysis. This literally involves just looking at your Instagram feed and then figuring out what it is that makes you maybe get like a little twinge of jealousy, or it makes you go like, oh God, I wish I was doing that. The thing is, it's not always the typical things that you might think. Oftentimes I think people think on Instagram, everyone's just jealous of everyone going on vacations, jealous of everyone who has like amazing bodies. What you might actually find is that you'll see a photo of someone like working on their art piece of a weekend and you'll be like, wow, I wish I had the time to do that. Or you'll see someone with like an amazing garden, cooking amazing food, and you'll be like, I wish that were me. By doing this and just going through your Instagram feed and seeing what feelings come up for you as you look at different photos, you can get really good self-insight. It can tell you a whole lot about what your priorities are and what they're not as well. The next way to brainstorm your goals is to use prospective hindsight. Prospective hindsight is a thought experiment that can be applied to a whole lot of scenarios, including brainstorming your goals. So psychologists have actually found there is a very big difference between the quality of answers that people give when you apply prospective hindsight. So they've found when you ask a question that enables people to work backwards from a certain future, they're better able to generate ideas, as opposed to if you ask them a question about how could you make that event happen? It's turning what do you want to happen by the end of the year? What would make this year amazing into it's the end of the year and you're sitting at the beach, the sun is setting, you're looking back on the freaking amazing year that you have just had. You've achieved so many things. It's been the most productive, happy, joyful year of your life. What happened? So those are all really helpful brainstorming prompts to get you thinking and to get you a whole big long list of goal ideas, which is a part that a lot of people struggle with. But the next part of it is figuring out what goal is the right goal for you at this point in time. So the first thing that I want to talk about is a concept that I first heard from Shailene Johnson. It's also a concept from the book, The One Thing, that I've talked about before, and it is called push goals. So a push goal is essentially sitting down and asking yourself the one thing question, which is, what can I do that will make everything else easier or unnecessary? So for example, maybe you really want to stop spending so much money on coffee dates with friends because you feel like it's just draining your bank account. You want to have a 3-day weekend every week, and you also want to meal prep. So a push goal could be creating an online digital course that sells a certain amount amount a week so that you don't need to stop buying coffee with friends because you'll have the money to afford it. You'll have the money and resources to hire someone so that you can work 4 days a week, and you can afford a meal delivery service so you don't need to meal prep. So that makes everything else easier and unnecessary. And you might even dig deeper and find that the push goal would actually be like waking up earlier by an hour so that you can work on that digital course every day. Often when you sit down and you look at your list of things that you'd like to achieve in the next 5 years, in the next year, you'll identify that there is something that you can do that will either make all of those goals easier, or all of them are necessary, or more likely a mix of the two. So when it comes to choosing your goal, consider firstly whether there is a push goal. Sit down and try to think of one. And secondly, whether that push goal is the one thing that you want to prioritize. And if you're struggling to find your push goal, I would really recommend reading the book, The One Thing. Now let's talk sticking to your goal. This section is going to be a little bit quicker because I do have another video coming out, if it's not out already, that is all about how to design your life so that you can follow through on your goals, which I would highly recommend watching after this video. I'll make sure to link it down below when it's available. So firstly, when you can, change your environment to make your goals easier. I think this is the #1 way to help yourself. I've talked about this concept before in my Reset Your Life challenge. I made a whole video where I actually showed myself doing it. So if you want to work out, put your workout clothes in a more visible place. If you want to play the guitar, put your guitar in the middle of your lounge room. If you want to eat healthy food, don't buy crap food, buy healthy food and put it at the top shelf of your fridge at eye level. Do whatever you can to reorganize your environment so there is the least possible friction between you and the thing that you want to achieve and the habits that you want to do to achieve it. I also made a video, I think it was called 14 simple changes that you can make your life easier, and it was all about the things that I've actually done to change my environment to make the habits that I want to do easier, to give you a little bit of inspiration. So I'll have that linked down below. The next thing that you should be doing is reminding yourself of your goals regularly. So I actually read a book, The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. This was a little while ago. In that book, he suggested printing out a certificate and writing on it, by this period of time, I will make this amount, signing it off with a date and chucking it on your wall, super visible. I did that. I literally had it signed, and I did end up making the amount that I wanted to make by that date. And having it super visible reminded me that that was a goal that I was working towards, because I think a lot of the time it's really easy to forget your goals. So having your goals super visible somewhere in your room, get like an A4 piece of paper or get your vision board or whatever it is that works for you, and have some clear reminder of what it is that you want. The video to watch after this one, if you're interested in setting goals that you're actually going to stick to, is my video on designing your life to achieve your goals. It is going to be on the screen and it's going to be down in the description below. It talks about a whole bunch of changes that I've made to make sure that I actually follow through on my goals, and how I went from someone who really struggled to actually stick with anything or stick with my goals over a long period of time to someone who is, you know, pretty good at it now. So I'm going to have that linked on the screen and down below in the description. I appreciate you so very much, and I will see you soon.